Hi friends, we have Catherine here. We're doing a quick demo on bows today. We got a lot in, so not sure if you can see right over here-ish, there's like 5 or 6 or 7 bows lined up. Anyway, the first contestant is Carl Weimer. It's a 59-gram vintage bow. Catherine's gonna be demoing on her personal violins. We're not listening for the violin tone. It's just, since she knows this violin like the back of her hand, she can tell you exactly how the bow reacts compared to hers. So without further ado, let's turn it over to Catherine.
So this bow feels really amazing. That's like the first thing I want to go ahead and say right off the bat. It has amazing contact with the string. Sometimes like how bows can be really overly active and really trembly from what I've noticed with certain bows. This one it's very calm. I already said this, it has amazing contact. There's no warbliness with it. It just really sinks into the violin, which is great. Your choice of rosin also plays a small part in this, but with my particular combination of rosin, it has a really great attack sound. It connects with the string really wonderfully to get all those different articulations that you need with the action of the bow. It also really has a lovely dynamic range. Even whenever playing softly, I don't feel like the bow is disconnecting from the string. It really feels like I'm dialing a volume dial up and down when I change dynamics versus fighting the bow or fighting to make the bow work with the string. So it's a really cool feeling with this bow. It just has such a great connection with the string. Gets this like rich tone out of my violin. Out of the bows that I have, a lot of them cover kind of the range that I want, but this one's kind of bringing out a more like caramelly sound out of my instrument, which is great. It gets a really it gets a very very natural bounce. I don't really have to like work too much for the bounce. It just really does. It's very, very springy, really cleanly gets off of the string to where there's a really clear and clean articulative bounce in the bow. And especially with ricochet, sometimes the bow doesn't want to get high enough on some bows. But it's very articulate and it gets a really, really pristine bounce, which is great. Same thing with spiccato, it really grabs the string so cleanly. And especially with sautille, it's very, very clear. And I would say the uncleanliness is due to my left hand. The right hand, the bow is very, 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 very clear. So all in all, this is a really, really wonderful bow. Extremely articulate spiccatos and bouncy and short notes. Totally capable of very clear articulation there. Really connects really, really, really well with the strings. I've said that like 5 times, but it's extremely impressive how good this bow feels when you draw it across the string. It's really, really lovely. And wonderful dynamic range. Again, you're not really fighting the bow is working for you, which is really a great sign for the bow. You kind of want them to work for you more than you're working for them, especially if you're, more intermediate, advanced, professional. That's kind of what you should be looking for. In the beginning, you just need the bow to stay on the string. But with more advanced music, you'd want something like this that just really works for you and you're able to play that advanced music without overly working too hard. But this is a fantastic bow. This is a really, really, really amazing bow.
Awesome. Quick question on the rosin. Which one did you use on that one?
I am using the Lonesome Pine rosin.
Lovely. And of the Lonesome Pine, that looks like it says dark on it.
Yes, so. The dark one. Yes, I like a really sticky rosin. It helps my instrument in particular.
Lovely. It's about 73 degrees in here. Humidity is right about 50% in case you're wondering. And then just summing up here, of course, we got the, sounds amazing, great contact. Bow works for you. How does a tip feel in hand and just overall opinion and aesthetics, just putting your music teacher hat on / professional hat?
I mean, it's a fairly like mediumly weighted bow. It doesn't feel too heavy. My bow is pretty light, or I have a pretty heavy and a pretty light bow that I regularly use. So this is pretty in the middle. It feels pretty comfortable in hand. The leather and I'm losing the word. This thing down here. I lost the word. It's gone. In my thumb, it feels quite comfortable, and so however you place your thumb, I think it's going to be very, very comfortable. There have been some bows where the leather portion was very oddly shaped, and so it was extremely uncomfortable, but this is very, very comfortable under my hand. With the weight, I like that it's medium because then it gets a little bit more sound out of the instrument. I think my bow weighs like 56, and so I have to work a little harder with the sound. With this bow, I don't have to work as hard, which is really, really nice. You just kind of let the bow do its thing. Those 3 grams are they really make a huge difference. And it's a really beautiful brown color. It's very pretty. And in terms of a student using this, I mean, anybody can benefit from this. Totally anybody. It might be too advanced for a beginner, but especially, in the beginning stages when you're learning how to hold the bow and you're learning how to really, really learn how to hold the bow. I dropped my bow 100 times. And so this is not one that you would want to drop. So if you're intermediate or advanced, or if you're a professional musician, you should definitely look into this. If you're a beginner, I'd say it's too dangerous to drop. You'd want like, you know, a plastic or a carbon fiber bow. This is the bow I used from early intermediate all the way through college, and I've dropped this thing like at least 200 times. And there was a ceiling fan incident, but we're not going to talk about that. But anyways, I hope that answered your questions.
That does. Wonderful. Thank you so much for the comprehensive demo. Online friends, I hope you enjoyed. Play on.